So Kaiju number 8 has finally made it to anime land. I mean, we are talking supposedly one of the most anticipated anime to come out in a long time, specifically a shonen. And it's right here, it's hitting your streaming services, and it seems like nobody is talking about it. Maybe this is why. That looks dumb and bad. Or maybe it's this. These look terrible. Just based off this advertising, if I didn't know anything about Kaiju number 8, I probably wouldn't watch it. They'd make the animation look bad. It's dumb. Maybe they should have used, I don't know, any of this to promote the show. However, I already do know Kaiju number 8. It's one of the first new shonen that I started reading the second it came out. It called to me, it said Kaiju, and I said, cool. But what I didn't expect was for it to supersede my expectations. In the year of our Lord, right now, I think we all know a shonen anime when we see one, right? You got young men following their dreams and achieving them through the power of their own fist, grit, determination, and the power of friendship. Then you got some girl side characters with big old boobies to round out that whole adolescent male fantasy. Unless it's Jujutsu Kaisen, where the girls are really badass too, but I digress. Kaiju number 8 is a different beast. See what I did there? And despite its original and refreshing premise, it still manages to land like right in that sweet spot of comfortability when it comes to shonen anime. I guess I will call it the shonen wrinkle. However, as you're going to see throughout the rest of this video, Kaiju number 8 hits different. So before I go too far, let's get into it. Listen guys, I got a big secret I'm going to tell you. It's going to blow your minds right out of your brain. There is a new alternative to vaping and smoking, and that is flavored air. Thanks to our sponsor Fume, you too can start getting rid of your bad habits. Fume is an award-winning flavored air device. I didn't even know they had awards for that, so it's impressive. And it can really help with ditching your bad habit. There's no vapor, there's no nicotine, it's completely non-addictive, it's just air. Air with tasty flavors that are very refreshing. Not only that, but when I'm using this little thing, it makes me feel better. I don't know, it might just be me, but it makes me actually feel like I can breathe better. I do enjoy the orange vanilla flavor, but I gotta say, I'm a fan of the crisp mint. So if you want to check it out and find an alternative to your bad habits, for a limited time, you can use my code Bonsai Pop to get 10% off a journey pack and get your journey started. Head to tryfume.com, that is TRYFUM.com, and use code Bonsai Pop for that 10% off, or you can scan the QR code that's on the screen right now and get 10% off your journeyman pack and start that journey to a cleaner, healthier lifestyle. Back to the video. Kaiju, a really big monster. Think Godzilla. Number 8, a number. Think counting. A subtly descriptive title, seeing as this show is actually about a Kaiju number 8. But is that really what the show is about? Yes, at least on the surface, yes. As of the release of this video, 5 episodes of Kaiju number 8 are out, and the manga is in, over 100 chapters. But we're only here to talk about the anime because now is the time to be watching it. By 5 episodes, it's already established itself, and now it's starting to get into the really good, juicy, meaty parts of what's going to be happening in this season. And I can talk about it without spoiling anything important, so it works out for all of us. So here's the deal. For reasons, one day kaiju start regularly appearing in Japan, destroying everything as they are wont to do, and they gotta be stopped. So an elite force of super soldiers are assembled to take the big scary bad guys down with lethal force. So you're gonna assume that our hero is gonna be this bright young kid enlisting in the defense force to protect his country. He's gonna fight the big bad monsters while becoming the most powerful and discovering the secret of the emergence of the kaiju. Congratulations. You are wrong. Our hero is Kaftka Hibino, not a member of the anti-kaiju defense force, but instead a member of the public works cleanup crew. So yeah, it turns out when you destroy a monster that's bigger than most buildings with giant explosions, it's going to leave a huge, toxic, dangerous mess. And somebody's got to clean up that dangerous waste. That would be Kafka and his little party of blue-collar workers. So now you're thinking, all right, so this plucky Kafka kid, he's cleaning up the bad guys, he's doing his best, and eventually he's going to discover this power that he had inside of him, and he's going to rise to the top, he's going to become a national hero, he's going to become the best kaiju hunter ever. Congratulations, you are wrong on many fronts. See, Kafka doesn't really care about his job too much. It's just his job. He is languishing in complacency. And the most important part of this whole series is that Kafka isn't a kid. He's 32. But wait, Bonsai Pop Mike, I thought this was a shonen. Doesn't shonen mean boy? Kafka is not a boy, he's 32. Like me. Are you getting it now, friend? Kaiju number 8 is a shonen starring a 32-year-old guy with a meh job. It's genius. Seriously, I cannot overstate how smart this stupidly small detail is. I mean, think about it, right? You probably know what it's like to be 32. I do. I am 32. You, me, we grew up with shonen anime. The Dragon Balls, the Yu Yu Hakushos, the stories about the young men we once were going out and grabbing their dreams by the balls, making them happen with their own fists, inspiring us to barely hang on to life by our fingertips. Look, if you're about 32, you probably have, latched on to the fact that life hasn't exactly been too kind to us. Most of us never had that shonen shot, you know what I mean? We just had to get through school and then maybe college and work and recession after recession and political upheaval and social upheaval and whatever other shitty things life threw at us, like, a global panini, whatever. Meanwhile, our lives continue to slip by, and now we're in our 30s. But teacher, I want to be an astronaut. Teacher, I want to play in the NHL. Teacher, I want to be a heart surgeon. And now you're in your 30s, and you are the night manager of a local grocery store. That kind of burns, doesn't it? But why though, right? I mean, it's like Kafka says, I got my own place, I can eat anything I want. It's not so bad to give up, right? Well, on paper, being the night manager of a grocery store doesn't suck. You have a job, it can probably support you, you're doing okay. But the problem is that those kids with dreams still exist inside of us. They didn't die, they didn't go away, they didn't turn 30 and it was like it never happened. When we watch the Stanley Cup playoffs, go Bruins, we wish we could be playing. When we see astronauts go to the International Space Station, we wish we could be taking that trip to space. When we see the bands up on stage, we still wish that we were the lead singer, the drummer, the bass player, best instrument. We wish we could be the movie stars, but we're in our 30s now. We're 30 and we're never gonna play in the NHL. What's the point of starting to try and become a brain surgeon now? By the time we get our degree, our hands aren't gonna work the same as they used to. What's the point of putting in the time to become the next MLG StarCraft player when we're gonna have carpal tunnel by the end of it? Or we might already have carpal tunnel, cause we're 30. But a lot of us, we still watch shonen anime. We still watch it because even if it's just for a couple moments, it makes you feel like you can still achieve your dreams. Because that's the thing, we're still dreaming, aren't we? There's still things we want to do. There's still things we can do. Just because you're 30 doesn't mean your life is over. Top level professional sports are probably out, but we can be authors. We can write screenplays. We can still be actors. Maybe we could compose music for a movie, write for a show, be comedians. I don't know, enter your stupid dream here. And yeah, you still got one. But on the other hand, it's also really easy to give up because having dreams hurts. We know that now. We're 30. We've had dreams that have died already. Dreams that passed us by and are out of reach forever. There's nothing we can do about that. And when you hit your 30s, you start to realize that and internalize it, and it sucks. But it's part of life. But what also burns is that you get to see people you knew living out your dreams, and then you get to see even younger people surpassing those dreams, and no matter how much of a good person you are, it still stings, right? It's not fair. And that is Kafka. That is our main character. He's supposed to be you until a younger guy comes into his life. Reino Ichikawa is 18 and just started working for the waste disposal company that Kafka is employed by. He hasn't given up on his dream of joining the anti-kaiju defense force yet, and this ignites a long dormant passion for Kafka, because not only did he want to be in the defense force, but after his hometown was attacked when he was a kid, he and a young girl made a pact to become the best kaiju hunters ever, and one of them did. Mina Ashihiro became the #1 hunter. Kafka couldn't even pass the test. That stings, and it's not like Kafka didn't try again and again and again. He did, he just couldn't make it. Meanwhile, Mina became the face of the defense force. The two became alienated, and Kafka accepted his life as a cleanup crew guy. But also what I found to be really interesting is that neither one of these two characters have forgotten about each other. No matter how alienated they are from each other, no matter how long it's been since they've talked to each other, Mina looks back and remembers Kafka just as much as he remembers her. And I think that's something that bothers everybody as time goes on. By the time you hit your 30s, you've gone out of contact with a ton of people that you knew over the years. And there's a huge possibility that you'll never see them again. But you still think about them, don't you? You still remember kids from your elementary school and things that they did and things that they said and times that you had with them. But then sometimes you're like, what's the point? Why do I even think about this stuff? There's no way that these people are thinking about me. But honestly, they probably do. And they probably remember a bunch of stuff that you did that you don't even remember anymore. And that is something that people just don't really talk about that often. But mangaka Naoya Matsumoto seems to have a really good grasp of human relationships, and especially the insecurities that people deal with when they get into their 30s. So Ichikawa reminds Kafka of what it was like to be a younger man with a dream ahead of him, and Kafka is what Ichikawa doesn't want to become. But it isn't until the two are attacked by a kaiju that they form a classic unbreakable bond. Kafka saves Ichikawa, thinking that if he does, he'll at least be able to allow someone else to follow their dream. And then Ichikawa saves Kafka, ensuring that the 32-year-old protagonist still has one last shot to follow his dream. Because all of a sudden, the exams for the Defense Force have raised the max age to 32. Then, while in the hospital recovering from their injuries, Kaiju number 8 hits the fan when a random small kaiju who can talk slams itself down Kafka's throat, turning him into a man-sized kaiju, a super crazy strong kaiju who will eventually be given the title Kaiju number 8. So now we have the whole plot and the premise. You have 32-year-old Kafka who's given up on his dreams, a younger guy who inspires him to pick those dreams back up, and his old friend who beat him out and became the best in the entire world. And then you throw in the wrench that finally, after taking action, Kafka doesn't get any better, but randomly from fate, he gets turned into one of the most powerful monsters that's ever graced the face of this planet, by complete happenstance. So after being seen by other patients, Kafka has to run away, or the Defense Force is going to find him and kill him. And of course Ichikawa comes too, because he's basically an accomplice at this point. Of course, they run into a terrible kaiju attack, and Kafka punches the monster into bloody stardust, showing us how strong he actually is. And now it's about living a double life where he and Ichikawa try to pass the test to join the Defense Force, of course doing so while trying to keep Kafka's new powers undercover. Don't want to let anybody see that. And before I go any farther, I want to point out two things about this show, and one is the humor. It's great. Honestly, the show is very funny. I know I've done some kind of dour analysis, but I mean, in kaiju form, Kafka pisses out his nipples. Like, the series has chops. Also, the violence is real high. It's great. Things are exploding, their spinal cords are coming out. It's everything you want to see. So again, the show double hammers home the themes in the next episodes. Kafka and Ichikawa show up to do the Defense Force exams. Kafka's not going to be using his powers, mostly because Ichikawa doesn't want him to, and neither one of them want to get caught. And at this point, Ichikawa has kind of become the Kato to the Green Hornet that is Kafka. Not so much of a sidekick, more as somebody who's protecting Kafka, mostly protecting Kafka from himself. And what we find out is that normal Kafka has zero compatibility with the Defense Force gear. This stuff is made out of kaiju materials and is supposed to amplify human abilities and double as defensive armor. The best Defense Force members have a high level of compatibility. Kafka has a fat goose egg. So it's not like the kaiju transformation has made Kafka more of a special human being. He's still Kafka unless he transforms into the Kaiju number 8. And to add insult to injury, not only is Kafka a subpar examinee, but he's shown up to a test that has specifically been filled out by the best talent that's coming forward. All of these kids are straight out of high school and they are the best in the world, making Kafka look even worse than he already does, despite them being 14 years younger than him. And that is why I've never made a TikTok. But as we all know, the story must go on. But I'm not going to give it to you all here. I want people to go and watch this show. Go and watch it, and when you're done, go tell your friends. If they don't bite, send them this video. We need more shonen willing to take a demographic risk. It'll do nothing but help the genre and the medium in general. I would love to see more content like Kaiju number 8. And I'm super excited to watch the rest of it as it comes out, and hopefully people will start talking about it. That would be nice. So like, comment, subscribe, do the friggin' YouTube things. It's anime all the time here, and we'll be back very soon, and we might be covering Freyren. I don't know. Maybe. And a very special thank you once again to Fume for sponsoring this video. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.